we lose Saquon, right? What's our identity going to be on offense now? And what's our plan to, what's the next step of that?
We're going to upgrade the offensive line, and you're paying the guy $40 million. It's not to hand the ball off to a $12 million back.
Flashback.
The New York Giants select Daniel Jones, quarterback, Duke.
No!
Daniel Jones.
Jones was rated as a third-round quarterback. The Giants took him 6th in the first round.
It's a wonderful thing when need and values match.
He's announcing the pick. Oh my fucking God! Oh my fuck! You gotta be fucking kidding me! You've gotta be fucking kidding me! How did they take Daniel Jones?
You called it, you talked about it for the last couple of months, how much they love Daniel Jones how to do. And oh, by the way, just so you know, ESPN rated Daniel Jones as a 0-star recruit coming out of high school.
End of flashback.
This is a year for Daniel. I loved hearing that quote, mainly because it brought us inside the Giants' decision-making process.
It's a big mistake. When you got a guy like Saquon Barkley, the question they asked was, what's going to be our identity if he's not here? What is it?
Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones?
So Daniel Jones is the only quarterback in the National Football League making $40 million that had no Pro Bowl wideout and had no Pro Bowl O-lineman. So if you really want to assess Daniel Jones, give him the complete and fairest shot possible, which is giving him the opportunity to have Pro Bowl talent at wideout and have Pro Bowl talent on the offensive line.
I don't think that this is a difference-making year for Daniel Jones.
There is no way you can look at the Giants and say that they have been running the best way. They continue to make mistake after mistake. However, I think the best move that they made in the NFL draft is the move that they did not make. And them not making this move is really going to pay off for the team later on down the line. Because in the NFL, most teams act too fast instead of waiting for the best opportunity to make a move at the quarterback position. Whether that's drafting a QB too early, getting rid of a QB too early, or paying them too early. Patience in the NFL does not exist in certain franchises when it should, and some teams overpay for players based off market rather than their actual needs. The Giants are one of those teams. We're going to talk about the good, the ugly, and the harsh reality of the New York Giants and why things look like they're going to be bad now unless Daniel Jones somehow show us something that he has never been able to show us before. But we're going to talk about why the best move that the Giants made is honestly the move that they did not make. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. And I'll talk about why there's hope within the franchise, at least in my opinion. And if you disagree when I'm finished with this segment, please let me know down below. But before we get into this topic, subscribe, like, and comment your favorite non-QB player down below. And with that, let's get into this video. So we all know many years ago the New York Giants made the decision to draft Daniel Jones. Many at that time scratched their heads at this decision, a move that many believed only happened because of Daniel Jones' relationship with the Manning family. This is due to the fact that Jones spent his college career playing under David Cutcliffe, who coached Eli Manning at Ole Miss, and that's what was being said at that time. Now, I don't know if this is the primary reason for Daniel Jones getting drafted at that time. However, it seems that Eli Manning has embraced the mentor role with Daniel Jones.
Is there a quarterback in the league that you're close with that you can call or dap up?
Yeah, I'd say Eli's definitely that guy for me.
However, it does seem like the Giants were trying to find Eli Manning 2.0. Both Eli and Jones seem to have the same leadership style and that same aura around them. Quiet guys who have that prototypical quarterback build. The main difference being that Jones is much more mobile than Eli Manning ever was. The only question was, why would they select him so high? Well, I always say if you believe that a player is your guy and it works out, it doesn't really matter where you draft them. But if it doesn't work out, just be ready for the consequences. And for Daniel Jones, up until this point, he really hasn't proven that he is that guy. His best seasons came his rookie year when he threw for 3,027 yards, 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And his best year was the year before he got his contract, where he threw for 3,205 yards, 15 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions. After that 2022 season, which was his best year, Daniel Jones signed a 4-year, $160 million contract with the New York Giants, including $36 million at the time of signing, $92 million guaranteed, with an average salary of $40 million. But the heartbeat and the driving force of that team was obviously Saquon Barkley. And as you can see, that same career year that got Daniel Jones paid was the same year that Saquon Barkley had one of his best seasons, rushing for 1,312 yards, 10 touchdowns on an average of 4.4 yards per carry. However, the concerns of another injury as well as the running back market prevented Saquon from getting the money that he deserved. The entire 22 season for the Giants was a weird one. Many thought that they were headed in the right direction after winning their first playoff game since 2012, which was their Super Bowl winning season, despite a bad loss to a clearly better Eagles team the following week. And Saquon was at that time the heart and spirit of that team, but as many of you know, during the 2020 season he did tear his ACL, and we know the value of running backs right now have been in decline for some time now. So the Giants really did not want to spend money on a running back who has had a major injury, which is not necessarily a bad thought to have, but then you go and pay a injury-prone QB who hasn't won or proven anything either. And now you are hoping he proves himself this season or is really bad in order to draft a guy to replace him. After what was a horrible year to be a Giants fan, especially when you hope to make that next step similar to the Detroit Lions. But among other things, the main difference between those two teams is the fact that the Lions actually have an identity. The Giants right now do not. Their identity is currently in Philadelphia. However, remember when I said the best move the Giants made was actually the move that they did not make? So what I mean by that is, in this past draft, the Giants were seen as heavy favorites to draft yet another quarterback. But instead of making the mistake that they did with Daniel Jones, they decided to draft the best offensive weapon on the board instead, which in my opinion was the correct move to make. Malik Neighbors looks like he is going to be the real deal at wideout. During his last year at LSU, he had 1,569 receiving yards, 89 receptions, and 14 touchdowns. Now, I know he did have a Heisman winner in Jaden Daniels throwing him the ball, but if the ball is near him, if it is in his vicinity, he is going to go make that play. And that's exactly what Daniel Jones needs in a playmaker. He's a guy who can help make things easier for Daniel Jones, assuming he will adapt and become what he was in college. Daniel Jones may or may not be there when he reaches his full potential, but not gambling on another QB right now gives the Giants a better chance down the line to surround whoever the QB is going to be later with the talent they need in order to develop the right way. You look at a Bryce Young down in Carolina, right now he is struggling. There's not that much talent surrounding the young QB. On top of that, they're scrambling trying to put whatever pieces they can around him in order to, one, figure out if he is indeed that guy, and two, make life a little bit easier for a young quarterback. And the Giants trying to make sure that they are not put in the same position. It also looks like they are working on the defensive side of the ball as well, with the additions of Tyler Nubin, a safety from Minnesota, and Andrew Phillips, a cornerback from Kentucky in this year's draft. They also added Brian Burns, a linebacker from the Carolina Panthers that they acquired in a trade. Last year, the Giants were ranked 27th in total defense, 19th in pass defense, but really fell short in run defense where they were ranked 29th. So they're hoping to improve in that area as well. One thing that I believe can help them this season is if they can have better offensive efficiency. In 2023, 15 teams had an average time of possession of 30 minutes or more. Those teams outside of the outlier, which is oddly enough the Carolina Panthers, once again bringing them up in this video, all averaged over 20 points per game. 12 of those teams finished in the top 15 for points per game. 10 teams made the playoffs. All but 2 teams had a record over 500. Overall, the Giants were ranked 21st in the league in time of possession, and I know what you're thinking. How? Is increasing the time of possession going to help the defense? Well, it's not guaranteed, but the longer the offense can hold the ball, the less of a chance the defense is going to be exposed, because they're not going to be put on the field as much, and it also gives them time to rest. And with all of that being said, this Giants team is going into this season with many questions. 2 of those being, 1, what does all of this mean for Brian Daboll? And 2, who should they draft if Daniel Jones flops this year? Honestly, I don't know yet, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because we're going to be discussing everything that is going on throughout the season and how different teams should prepare for that following season, because football does not stop. But I have seen coaches fired even if the team is not necessarily up to par. And for Daniel Jones, we don't necessarily know who the top tier QB prospect is going to be right now. But what I do know is this is potentially the last year we see both of them in New York. And even with all of that being said, I believe that Daniel Jones deserves one more year to prove whether or not he is the QB for the future. Has he shown us anything right now? No, but I think multiple things can be true in this situation. He has not shown us yet, but has he actually been given a fair shot at it? Not necessarily. He hasn't been given the weapons that he needs. He hasn't been given a great offensive line either. And other QBs have been given these many things before. So I don't necessarily blame Daniel Jones as much as I do the front office for lacking the ability to surround him with talent. So with that being said, I still stick with the fact that the best move they made in the draft was simply not drafting the quarterback yet. Because if he doesn't work out this year, and I must acknowledge that Daniel Jones is going to have a very impressive season in order for him to save his spot on that roster as his starting quarterback, but there is no need to draft a rookie QB into the same situation that Daniel Jones is in, because it's not going to end well. So playing the waiting game, allowing Daniel Jones to either prove himself or be a bridge quarterback, is the best route to take, because you pulled the trigger too early on Daniel Jones, a guy who was not even supposed to be drafted when he was. And so hopefully the Giants learn from that mistake. And if everything happens the way that I think is going to actually happen, the guy coming in will have a better shot of actually working out, because there will be more talent around him. Or maybe, just maybe, Daniel Jones will prove all of his critics wrong. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think down below. Like, comment, and also subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.